Everyone, hello, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Matchday 2 press conference between Team Mats and the Bangkok Shinobis. Today joining us is the Bangkok Shinobis manager, Mr. Tirth Singh. We kindly ask you to raise your hands up one at a time and speak when you're given the microphone. Kindly state your name and the organization you are representing before asking your question. Audio translations are available in Spanish, Japanese and Tamil. With all that out of the way, we shall begin taking questions.
Francisco de marca Pokémon. ¿Qué importancia tuvo esa cómoda victoria contra Slither y cómo quedó el vestuario tras esa gran
Francisco from
actuación?
marca Pokemon. How important was that comfortable win against Slither, and what was the dressing room like after that great performance?
Well, the way we started our tournament against Slater, very ideal way to start a tournament, of course. Dressing room's atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. A lot of cheers for Celestia, obviously, for his Pokemon of the Match, performance. And absolutely fantastic performance for the team. I said in the last press conference that it was important that for this battle and how it would set a tone for the whole tournament, and we certainly set a very strong tone. And so, I couldn't have really asked for much more from that first battle. So, overall, very, very happy.
தென்னிந்திய போகிமான் செய்திகளிலிருந்து வள்ளுவர். முந்தைய ஸ்ட்ரீமில் போட்டியின் தொகுப்பாளர் ரெங் உங்கள் முந்தைய போரை பற்றி ஒரு சிறந்த கருத்தை கூறினார். செலஸ்டிலாவை தவிர உங்கள் போகிமான்கள் யாரும் போரில் ஈடுபடவில்லை. எனவே உங்கள் மற்ற போகிமானுக்கு நீங்கள் என்ன வழிமுறைகளை வழங்குகிறீர்கள் என்பது குறித்து மேட் இருட்டில் இருப்பார். இது இந்த போட்டிக்கு உங்களுக்கு ஒரு ஊக்கத்தை
In the
அளிக்குமா?
previous stream, the host of the tournament, Rink, made a great point about your previous battle. Apart from Celesteela, none of your Pokemon got to battle. Therefore, Matt will be more in the dark about your instructions for your other Pokemon. Will this give you a boost for this match?
Obviously, as I said, it was the ideal win, and that's another point of the battle which made it an ideal win. The fact that only Celesteela only really had to show off its moves. Absolutely, I'm very, very pleased about that. Feel like I still do think Mats has because I have a few familiar faces in my team, and Mats will have an idea of the moveset which I'll use with them. And in general as well, Mats can sort of generalize and try to identify the moves which are commonly used with my Pokemon. But I feel like with in terms of both of our positions currently, and with after Matchday 1, I feel like I know more about his team than he knows about my team, and that certainly will always provide an advantage for me, which was, of course, a very nice bonus from that incredible win against Fiddle. So very a lot of credit to Celesteela for keeping Mats in the dark about his teammates' moves, and very, very. And Rank is right. It is a good point, and I do think that Max is already, I would say, the sort of underdog for this battle, and from his perspective, I think he would have liked if I had gone all out against Glitter and shown him all of my moves. However, that is not the case, and I'm sure, keeping that in mind, he'll prepare for this battle accordingly.
อเล็กจากข่าวโปเกมอนไทย SWADI แค่คุณสิงห์คุณคิดอย่างไรกับทีมของแมทโดยเฉพาะโปเกมอนที่โจมตีเก่งอย่างอินเฟอร์เนสและตาดูเดสรวมถึงกำแพงป้องกันอย่างสโลคิงและอินพูริอัน
Well, sorry, Cap. I do happen to know Thai, so I'll just translate what he said. It's not an issue at all. He basically just said, how do you feel about Matt's team, especially with offensive threats like Infernape and Thunderous, as well as defensive walls like Slowking and Empoleon. So going through his team, of course, Mats has a couple of familiar faces, such as Infernape, of course, his captain, Polion, who performed very well for him last season, and same with Slowking. It's no wonder why Matt's brought those Pokemon back for his team this season, because they were quite good performance from last season. Of course, there's also Latias, sorry, who's a legendary Pokemon. Of course, he was Latias last season. It didn't work out so well, and Latias is the more defensive Pokemon, especially defensive Pokemon, which may suit Matt's style more. He has some familiar use with it in season 2, and in general, it's a very good Pokemon, and the fact that Matt has used it before certainly makes it a bigger threat. Ditto was a very niche, unique Pokemon, um, who the rank himself said that it's fantastic pickup for 40 points. Torterra is a bit of a strange new pick, but I'm sure Max can potentially find a way to make it viable. I've shown in the past that I've made mobile work last season. Pokemon who are perceived as weak, you can certainly make work if you're a good enough trainer, and I certainly think Max is definitely a good enough trainer to make a Pokemon like Torterra work. And of course, you've got, um, of course, other Pokemon such as, I'm sorry, my brain's going blank at the moment. But yeah, overall, he has a very strong team. And yeah, rest of his Pokemon. And overall, he has drafted a pretty nice team this time around. And yeah, I'm looking forward to finding a way to beat it. Bring it on.
Ayush from XYZ News. What are your expectations from this coming up game against Mats?
Well, expectations would naturally be to win, and I expect to win. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I've known Mats since last season. I think we've grown decently fond of each other after being fellow competitors last season. But of course, this time we're facing each other for the first time, and I believe both of us are quite excited about that prospect. And yeah, I think I will be a bit blunt. I did go all the way to the final last season, and this season I am one of the few favorites to win the tournament. And yeah, I think I am expected to win here against Mats, and I very much am planning to meet those expectations. But that's no disrespect to Mats. He's shown before that when his back is against a wall, he can perform very, very well. So I'm in no way underestimating him. But even despite that fact, I still expect to win. But this game will certainly not be a cakewalk. I don't expect this to be in any way. How about when against Litter? I expect a tough battle. But at the end, I expect to win.
AEL from Oshawa.org. What do you think are the main strengths of Mats?
Well, yeah, Mats's main strengths are, of course, he's got some pretty quick Pokemon like Fernape and Tantris. He's got defensive walls which are difficult to break through, like Empoleon and Slowking. Slowking with its regenerate ability can be quite annoying. Um, and I think Mats is one of the biggest strengths of Mats, even just not from a non-Pokemon perspective, as I've already said. Um, Sometime last season, when his back was against a wall, he managed to beat Doodle, who had some very good Pokemon. He had Volcarona, who was an Ubers, Dragonite, one of the best Pseudo legendaries. Even with a team like that, he managed to beat it with a quite incredible strategy using Trick Room. Yeah, that was the best we've seen of Mats. And in general, I think that's the best we see of Mats in these tournaments when his back's against the wall, and that's certainly the case here. I believe if he loses this, it'd be almost impossible for him to go through to the knockout stages, especially with Ayush's a decent win against Lidl. So that adds more pressure to him, and he performs very well under pressure. So I think that's his biggest strength, and that's certainly something all my Pokemon and I will be keeping an eye out for during this battle.
आज तक से आहवा नमस्कार। आपकी पिछली पोकेमॉन लड़ाई में मैट्स को अमाल्फिटानो में देखा गया था और उसने कहा था मुझे इस सेलेस्टिला के खिलाफ वाकई योजना बनानी होगी। इस पर आपकी क्या प्रतिक्रिया है?
Well, yeah, Pele, first, Namaskar. I can speak Hindi as well, so I'll translate that. Essentially, what the gentleman is saying is that Max was seen in my battle against Litter, and he was seen saying that I'll have to, in quotes, he basically said that I will have to seriously prepare for the Celesteela. So what's my response to that quote? Well, listen, I feel like that could have happened to any Pokemon. Feel like if it was Greninja, if it was Azelf, if it was Celesteela, if it was Zoroark, if it was Malamar, if it was Drifblim, if any Pokemon KO'd 5 Pokemon in a row, and that next Pokemon in the next battle will be your opponent, of course you'd keep an eye out for that Pokemon. However, I won't really pay too much attention to it, mainly because, just because Celesteela performed very well in his last battle does not mean I'll pick him in this battle. My style of Pokemon management is taking it game by game. Just because a Pokemon did very well in one game doesn't mean it'll do well in the other game. I take it by a game to game basis. I would put out the team which I think is the most suited to beating Mats. That may include Celesteela, could not include Celesteela. Who knows? But just because, but if Celesteela, I do not think is in my best team of 6 to beat Mats, then irrespective of how it performed in his last battle, I will put him on the bench for tomorrow. And again, if I think Celesteela is in the best team of 6 to beat Mats, then I'll put him in. That's just how it is. I will put a team out there which I think is best to beat Mats. And of course, that response of Mats is very understandable. It's human nature, I believe, to be wary of one Pokemon after they got 5 KOs in a single battle. But I won't be paying too much attention to it. I'll just select a team which I think is best to beat Mats. That's all to it. That's all to it. Really, that's all there is to it.
Santiago Barbero Forte Y Exports. There have been links between Xuan Infernape from and Mats since the last season. Is there a chance that we might see him play for the Bangkok Shinobis in the future?
Well, listen, I think any manager would be fond of Infernape. It's a fantastic Pokemon. It's been a fantastic servant for Mats over these past few seasons. And any Pokemon team would be lucky to have him in this tournament. However, the team which I have drafted this time around, especially, I'm very happy with it. And definitely members of this team, which I plan on using for future drafts. And of course, I have a lot of respect for Infernape, and it's an absolutely fantastic Pokemon. And for this battle particularly as well, I will have to be wary of it, especially. However, again, I'm happy with my team. I'm already happy with my team. I'm flattered because, of course, as a manager, an incredible Pokemon like Infernape being linked to your team, it's always flattering because such an incredible Pokemon being linked to a team makes us feel a bit incredible as well, which is, of course, amazing. But I won't really change my Pokemon team this season. I'm happy with it. And I'm confident that this team is the team which will get me to the final and get me the win, unlike my team last season, which was, of course, my fault.
Jensen Moore from ESPN Pokemon. There was recently footage released of a conversation between Greninja and Malamar where Greninja praised Infernape as a powerful Pokemon but said he'd come out victorious in a battle. Do you think there's a rivalry forming between the captains from the Shinobis and Team Mats? If so, what's your response to this rivalry?
Well, listen, I did see that as well, and yeah, I love Gunna's response. It showed a bit of arrogance, but we love that. We love a bit of arrogance here at the Bangkok Shinobis, and coming from the captain as well, I don't mind that at all. And it should still show some respect to Infernape, which Infernape is definitely due. However, him coming out and saying that he'd win, it shows the confidence he has in himself and the confidence he has in our team and the confidence he has in me as a manager, which I really appreciate. As for the rivalry, listen, I think it's natural for two incredible Pokemon like Greninja and Fernape to have a rivalry. When your captains, when your managers have a bit of history, when both of the captains of the teams are such incredible strong Pokemon, I believe it's natural for there to be a bit of a rivalry. And yeah, I welcome it because I believe that rivalry is an incredible thing, and not only in Pokemon but in any sport. Um, Rivals are what push you to become the best version of yourself. They give you can never slack off when you have rivals. You need to always push yourself to be the best when you're surrounded by rivals. So yeah, if Greninja and Fernie becoming rivals, I think it's an incredible thing, and yeah, it will only push both of them to become better Pokemon, and I believe that will lead to a better battle, and I think that's certainly what Mats and I, and perhaps the rest of the Pokemon Community Tournament, um, would like to see.
Tim McManaman from the Weekly Magazine. How important is winning this battle, and what could be the consequences to the team if you have to go into match 3 having to win?
Well, yeah, listen, I think the lads and I have discussed this, and we do believe that winning this battle is very important for us because winning this battle almost guarantees us a position at knockout stages, which is what Galways want. And of course, Ayush has shown to be quite a strong trainer. And of course, it's an Indian derby as well, so there will be no blood lost in that battle. And yeah, the difference between this battle, between winning and losing this battle, is potentially going into the next battle fighting to get to knockout stages, and on the other hand, if we win against Mats, the next battle could be a battle the for the top position in the group, because it would most likely be true. So that's the obviously the scenario which we want to go with. And of course, every battle we consider important, but especially this one. We want to win every battle. It doesn't matter if it's a dead rubber game. We want to win every single battle. We do not like losing battles here in the Bangkok Shinobis, no matter how insignificant it is. But this battle is far from insignificant, so we especially want to win this battle. And yeah, setting up a clash for a top spot and then derby against Ayush. That's what our goal is certainly um, for this battle.
Roly from the Pokemon Athletic. Who do you think is the stronger competitor between Mats and Ayush, and do you consider this next battle to be the toughest from your group?
Well, listen, I had these type of questions always difficult. I'd say Ayush has definitely showed more promise this season, but I believe it's very, very unfair to put Mats down like this because Mats, he doesn't have the experience or I believe the Pokemon knowledge that's maybe perhaps I and some of the others in a Pokemon tournament do, and I believe he himself would admit that. However, the Mats we saw against Ayush, it's not the Mats who beat Doodle. Mats, I think, knows himself that he can perform at a higher level. And listen, in this next battle, I could be seeing the Mats versus Ayush. I could be seeing the Mats versus Doodle. I could be seeing a Mats who's even better than the Mats versus Doodle. He's sort of that type of trainer right now, which is in some ways makes him more dangerous. He can perform at a very high level when he's on his game, and with this being a must-win battle for him, I believe he will certainly be on his game and give his best effort. If that is the case, then I will need to give my best effort in order to beat him. And as for Ayush, he's shown some great promise so far, but at the end of the day, it's only one battle. So I believe it's a bit unfair to compare the both. And I believe perhaps after the season is over, perhaps maybe even after the group stages, we can assess that question more. But I personally don't like comparing players that much because even Slater on paper is a bit of a weaker opponent compared to Matt and Ayush. But I still took that game 100% seriously and prepared for that battle, just as like I would for any other for any other battle against a strong trainer. So yeah, I prepare for all my battles the same, giving it my all with every battle. That's my mentality. So yeah, I personally don't really like comparing trainers, but yeah, I mean, there's your answer. So yeah, that's about it. Really.
Right, that's all the questions we have time for. Thank you for coming, everyone. Take care.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and yeah, God bless you, and yeah, I'll see you for the next press conference. Thank you everyone for coming.